You are Locked On Wolves POSTCAST, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
The Timberwolves continued their strong play to begin 2026, capping off a sweep of a road back-to-back by taking down the Washington Wizards by a score of 141-115, moving the Wolves to 10-3 against the Eastern Conference this season, 16-5 against teams below 500, and pulls them to a tie for fourth in the Western Conference, just half a game back of the Denver Nuggets. What's going on? Back at it tonight for another Wolves postcast right here on the Locked On Minnesota Network, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which, thanks to all of you, our everydayers, is now the #1 sports podcast network nationwide. I'm Jack Borman, riding solo without my co-host Luke Inman, who will be back with us on Tuesday. This is our live reaction show. So this goes live within about 10 minutes of every single game ending. So we aren't able to get to quite everything without being able to digest everything. So if you are listening to this show on the Locked On Wolves or Locked On Minnesota audio feed, please be sure to check us out on YouTube and subscribe to the Locked On Wolves YouTube channel so you can get notified every single time that we go live. And also please go follow our man Ben Beacon, who does a tremendous job hosting the daily Locked On Wolves show on YouTube and on wherever you get your podcasts. So we'll get into our player of the game, our X factor, and what we'll be talking about. But first, off the top, the Wizards come into this game 4-1 in their last 5, rocking the second best defensive rating in the NBA over the last 5 games, despite being 29th on the season, kind of similar to the Nets, who the Wolves played a few games ago. A lot of that is because the Wizards have had Bilal Coulibaly and Alex Sarr back, and they've played really well despite missing Keyshawn George, their leading scorer, who'd missed 4 of their last 5 games. The paint defense went from bottom 10 to top 10, as did the rebound percentage and points off turnovers in the last 5 games. A lot of that due to, again, Sarr, one of the best rim protectors in the league, being back. But beyond that, Washington was second in the league in their last 5 in bench points, 48 per game, with Justin Champagnie, Bob Carrington, Marvin Bagley, averaging about 34 of those 48. So it's a really strong, consistent bench productions. Wolves coming off the big win in Miami last night, looking for Ant, Julius, Rudy, Naz to all build off of really strong starts to 2026, and then get Jaden and Dante back, who have been off track a little bit as scorers. So to start this one off, Anthony Edwards just came out firing and was tremendous. It was the 3rd straight game in which Edwards had at least 14 points in the first quarter. It's his 7th first quarter with at least 14 points. Again, just really important for Ant, right? The Timberwolves team, we know since the start of December, has been a really poor first half team, and in large part because their starters haven't brought good enough energy right off the rip. And Ant's done a really good job of rectifying that of late. And Julius did a great job too, especially early in the second quarter, serving as the hub of the offense. And like I said, played really well beside Naz Reid in the start of the second quarter, kind of those kind of all offense lineups, if you will. Good to see Mike Conley and Jaden McDaniels make some shots early. It was really good to see Mike knock down a couple of threes. Jaden was aggressive in the first few minutes of the game, had 3 quick scores and a steal. A nice little turning point for the Timberwolves in that second quarter. Jaden McDaniels picked up his 3rd foul with about 4 minutes left in the first half, and then Finch challenged it. The Wolves were in the bonus at this point, gets overturned to a foul on Alex Sarr. Jaden makes 2 free throws, and then Sarr ends up picking up 2 more fouls in the next couple minutes, who had to go to the bench. And that kind of is when things started to unravel for Washington. And a big part of that was Rudy Gobert, who dominated the second quarter on both ends, led a 15-4 run to balloon the lead to set from 7 to 18 before the half. The Wolves were up 15 at halftime, which was nice considering they shot 4 of 20 from 3 in the first half. They did score a season-high 40 points in the paint in the first half and only committed 1 turnover, which is excellent. And then Anthony Edwards took it home in the third quarter, ended up scoring, I believe, 19 points in the third quarter, and the Wolves pretty much rolled from there and ended up getting it done a 141-115. So big picture, I think just good to see the Wolves get another win where they should, right? I think, again, with Jokic out, with Houston kind of playing pretty up and down of late, 5-5 in their last 10, LA 5-5 in their last 10, the Nuggets 4-6 in their last 10. Just getting wins right now is really important. You got to pick up pace pick up ground in the standings when teams above you are losing. The Wolves have done that. again tonight. They're now just 2.5 games back of the 2-seed Spurs. And the Wolves play San Antonio twice in 6 days, not this coming week, but the week after, with a game in Houston mixed in there. So it'll be a really good opportunity coming off this, I think, 7 or 8 game stretch where the Wolves play against strictly Eastern Conference opponents to then, kind of flip the switch against teams above them in the standings. And that's important too, because the Denver Nuggets got Christian Brown and Aaron Gordon both back today from very lengthy absences. So they'll be really important now as the Nuggets kind of endure the next month or so without Nikola Jokic. And you need your best 3 players to play well in order for the Timberwolves to keep gaining ground. And that's exactly what happened tonight. Anthony Edwards was absolutely ridiculous. Again, just super efficient. Scored 35 points in essentially 2 quarters. And he only took 1 shot in the second quarter, did not score in that quarter. He scored 16 in the first, 19 in the third. He did have 4 turnovers to 3 assists in this game, but made up for it with 4 steals. And again, was just a plus 29 in 30 minutes. I mean, Capital One Arena, these fans were going crazy for Ant as he was just pouring in buckets in that third quarter, which was fun to see. And for Anthony Edwards, again, just hyper efficient, right? 8 of 11 from 2, 6 of 10 from 3, only 1 of 4 from the free throw line. But again, not a big deal with how well he played outside of that. Julius Randle was fantastic. 22 points, 8 of 12 from 2, 4 turnovers, 4 assists and 0 turnovers. I just really liked the way that those 2 guys played really physical and played downhill basketball, which was great to see. I think, they set a great tone for the Timberwolves early on in this game, driving the slots very well. And then Ant just flying to the rim off of high ball screens above the break, which was great. The Timberwolves scored a season high 76 points in the paint, which made up for them not shooting very well from 3. They were 11 of 37, just 29.7%. So it's a very rare sub 30% shooting night for the Timberwolves, which leads us into tonight's player of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Yeah, tonight's player of the game for me is Rudy Gobert. He was incredibly active all game long, completely dominated the matchup against Alex Sarr, who has really emerged as one of the, really strong anchor bigs defensively, who has some offensive upside as well. Can shoot the 3, has been a nice playmaker above the break. He had 4 assists tonight. But Rudy was tremendous in this game. And in the first half especially, he had 14 points, 6 offensive rebounds, and 3 blocks just in the first half. That would be a darn good game for Rudy as a whole for an entire game, but does that in the first half. And in the second quarter, specifically looking there, I mean, he just completely set the tone and dominated that entire stretch. He had 12 points and 4 offensive rebounds in that quarter alone. And then had a really nice isolation, kind of realized no one was coming to play with him in the handoff game. So just decided, all right, I'm going to drive to my left and throw down a one-handed lefty dunk over Sarr. And that was the second of his poster dunks in the quarter, which was great to see. He just played with a lot of force and finished inside very well too when he didn't dunk it. He ended up with a double-double of 18 points and 14 rebounds. Again, a great split of 8 defensive rebounds, 6 offensive rebounds. Added 4 blocks in just 29 minutes and was a team high plus 32 in that stretch. And the Wolves are now 8-1 when Rudy Gobert grabs at least 14 rebounds. And for Rudy, I think especially it just goes to show the impact he can make when he's forceful and grabs the ball. I think we saw early in the season when his defensive rebound percentage was pretty low. He did a lot of trying to tip the ball instead of just playing strong and going up to grab it, which was which has just been a really good sign from Rudy. He's grabbed 14 rebounds at least 6 times in the last month, and he's averaging 5.5 offensive rebounds and 10.5 defensive rebounds in those games. So it's not like he's just doing all of it on the defensive end of the floor, just kind of hanging back, being the only guy trying to get a rebound. So he's been really impactful both ways. And for the Timberwolves, when Rudy Gobert was on the floor tonight, they won those minutes 89-57 in 29 minutes of play. So that's about 2.5 quarters of basketball. They put up 89 points. It's an offensive rating of 141, a defensive rating of 91.9. And most importantly, for me in this game, when Rudy Gobert was on the floor, they had an offensive rebound percentage of 52% and then a defensive rebound percentage of 90%. So they totally controlled the glass. I mean, both those numbers would lead the league by far if you extrapolated that over an entire season. So for them to really control the glass the way that they did was super important. And they played really physically and got downhill and got to the free throw line extraordinarily well in addition. So I think for the Timberwolves, Rudy Gobert, he and Anthony Edwards have both been just remarkably consistent throughout the last month plus. But I think for Rudy, just frees up so many guys to play their game better when he's dominating the way that he is on the offensive end of the floor. And I think he takes off so much pressure for other guys, especially if guys are having off nights, knowing that Rudy's going to be down there to try to help backstop him and clean them up is super important. So another great game for Rudy. And it's just fun to see. And hopefully he can keep that rolling as the Timberwolves have a super tough stretch of games here coming up. So today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. Whether you're starting a new routine or jumping into player projections for the first time, trying something new can feel like a challenge. But with Prize Picks, it's always good to be right. With high-pressure football matchups every weekend and elite hoops action every night, the action never slows down, and Prize Picks lets you stay in control. Prize Picks is the daily fantasy app that makes watching sports even more exciting by letting you build lineups based on player projections. No drafts, no waiting. Just pick more or less and play your way. Getting started on Prize Picks is quick and simple. The app is super simple and easy to navigate. It's made watching games more engaging, especially when following individual player performances. The new early payouts feature is a game changer. If a player stays hot, you can cash out before the game ends. So download the Prize Picks apps today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think there has to be a better way. And there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. That's why today's show is brought to you by Quo, spelled Q-U-O, the smarter way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. I love how simple Quo makes everything. Your whole team can call and text from one shared business number so nothing gets missed. And Quo's smart AI tools automatically log calls, summarize conversations, and highlight next steps so details never slip through the cracks. It works right from your phone or computer, and you can even keep your existing number. So it's no surprise that Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses from solo operators to growing teams. Make this new year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/lockedonnba. That's QUO.com/lockedonnba. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. All right, let's get into tonight's X Factor.
It's time to reveal who made the biggest under-the-radar impact with today's X Factor.
Yeah, there's a few different directions that you could go with tonight's X Factor, but I'm going to go with Jaden McDaniels. We've been talking about Jaden a decent amount on this show, and I thought it was good that he started off this game playing really aggressive downhill, getting to the rim, getting to his spots in the mid-range, and attacking from the slot once he caught the ball. I think just the simplest way Jaden can get more involved in the offense is just attacking off the catch. And he did a great job of that for the majority of the early part of this season and just needs to get back to it. And he did tonight. And then the other part of it too was he didn't just stop in the mid-range. He got all the way to the rim and got to the free throw line 6 times, made all 6 of his attempts. And this was now, but coming into tonight, Jaden McDaniels had 3 straight games of scoring in single digits. And hadn't really been getting to the free, and had 0 free throw attempts in any of those games. And now Jaden, tonight had 6 free throw attempts. The last time he had 6 free throw attempts in a game was that win over Sacramento a few Sundays ago on December 14th. So it's been a while for Jaden, and so for him, I mean, the Wolves are 8-3 when Jaden scores 17 or more. They're now 15-10. It's a 60-win pace versus a 48-win pace. When Jaden scores 17 or more. So I think trying to continue to elevate Jaden's game is going to be really important. And Jaden ended up, didn't quite hit that 17 mark, ended with 12 points in 22 minutes. But he grabbed 5 boards, dished out 5 assists, and had 3 steals. So I thought his play just was really connective on both ends of the floor. And I thought that even though his number wasn't called quite as much, he did a better job of kind of calling his own number off the catch and attacking off the slots, which a lot of Timberwolves players did really well tonight. Getting into some just quick hitters, I love that Dante DiVincenzo just kept shooting the ball despite another, off night from him for 3. I think he's gonna find it from 3. You look at Dante DiVincenzo's career. I mean, he's been a tremendous 3-point shooter pretty much for the entirety of his career. I think for how up and down he was in December, shot 35%, but in November was 39%, in October 42%. So I think we all trust that Dante is going to be able to get back to that number of 40% plus. But just again, when he's not making his shots, just the way that he stays in it and just plays his tail off on both ends of the floor is really important. He had 4 rebounds, 3 assists tonight, and also had 3 steals, I believe, in this game as well. Yes, he did. So just great to see him continue to kind of play through it and trusting that shot's going to fall. He did make his last 3 after starting 0 of 8 tonight. Another one, Alan Horton said during the pregame show on the broadcast that TJ Shannon, who's been missing time with a left foot strain, is going to be reevaluated this coming Saturday, so 6 days from today. So that's going to be really important, again, for the Timberwolves, who've just been missing kind of that bench spark off, on the wing. I think obviously Naz Reid has been pretty good. Bones Highland has had his moments of scoring really nicely, but again, just missing a guy at that wing spot that can play the 3 and the 4 and just really be effective that way. Let's get into what we'll be talking about tomorrow.
This is what you'll be talking about.
For the Timberwolves, I think they've done a really good job of finding an offensive rhythm here over the last little bit, despite having a lackluster 3-point shooting stretch. I think is always a welcome sight for the Timberwolves. I mean, the Timberwolves have had 3 games in their last 5 games shooting, or I guess 4 in their last 6 shooting 35% or worse. And despite that, have scored very well in that stretch. And tonight, the Timberwolves' best scorers all got it done inside the arc en route to a season high 76 points in the paint. Ant was 8 of 11 on 2s. Julius was 8 of 12 on 2s. Rudy 8 of 10. So for those 3 guys to score 24 field goals, score 48 points inside is super important. Naz was 4 of 6 on 2, and Jaden was 3 of 4. And so for all those guys to be shooting 67% or better from 2-point percentage is awesome, especially when you consider that the league average of 2-point shooting is 55%. So all those guys, well above the league average tonight. And offensive rebounding has been really important for that too. The Wolves have kind of had a surge here, offensive rebounding. 17 offensive rebounds for 25 second chance points tonight. They outscored Washington by 10 in that area. And Wizards have been a really good offensive rebounding team of late since Sarr has come back. And the Timberwolves now move to 16-5 when they score at least 50 points in the paint. 50 is the league average. So basically anytime the Timberwolves are just better than average, slightly better than average, they're winning games at a really high clip. And they've scored at least 125 points now in 4 of their last 6 games. But, you'd think this Timberwolves team, likes to shoot, 40 plus attempts from 3 per game, but just hasn't necessarily been there the way that they want it to be. So they've been getting it done from inside the arc. Again, like I said, the league average is 55% on 2-point shots. The Wolves were, what'd they shoot tonight? I think they shot 72.1% on their 2s tonight. They shot 75% in the win over Miami last night, 62% against Chicago, and then they shot 66% in that in that loss in overtime in Denver on Christmas night. So the fact that the Timberwolves have been manufacturing really good offense, they've been sharing it, they've been swinging the ball from side to side, they've been driving the slots really well, and then their best players have done a really good job of mixing in 2-point attempts with 3-point attempts, whether those comes from isolations, attacking off the catch, post-ups, you name it, or just attacking the glass for second chance opportunities. The Timberwolves have just been super efficient from inside the arc. And I think for how big and physical the Timberwolves can play, I think it's almost more important that they're really efficient from 2 than they are from 3. And don't get me wrong, spacing is going to be really important for the Timberwolves. when you consider that sometimes the Randall and Gobert lineups can get a little clunky. Teams are sagging off Jaden or sagging off, Jalen Clark in some lineups. I think the Wolves are going to have to make threes to make teams respect their spacing a little bit more. But at the end of the day, the fact that the Timberwolves are getting it done at a rate they are from two is super important. And again, tonight, the Wolves 28 of 31, 90% at the rim is a phenomenal number when you consider, that the league average at the rim, is, what is it right now? It's 67%. So did a great job there. That's going to do it for us. Thanks again for joining me tonight. Luke will be back with me on Tuesday night. I will be back at Target Center as the Wolves return home to take on the Miami Heat once again. Only this time, Tyler Hero, who has missed the last 10 games, will likely be back in the lineup. So we'll catch you Tuesday. But until then, signing out.